Hi everybody, it's Lori Atkins from Oh Baby Lactation here in my lovely office. How you doing? I wanted to talk to you today about a couple of things. The first one, the thing I wanted to mention is get a lot of questions about babies taking a bottle for the first time. So I wanted to talk to you today about paced bottle feeding. Paced, P-A-C-E-D, like a pace car, not paced out of a jar. Somebody mentioned that to me once and I laughed. I'm like, oh my God, we have to be better about how we discuss things. But pacing a bottle feeding, and you think, what the heck is that? You just feed a baby. But pacing a feeding can be instrumental in getting a baby back to breast who has been bottle fed. And let's face it, we live in a culture, in a country that doesn't allow moms to stay home for indeterminate amounts of time. Most parents go back to work. And so a bottle is usually part of that game plan. So in doing pacing feedings, we can keep babies back to the breast when it's time for them to get back to the breast, rather than letting them get really comfortable with a bottle feeding that's really fast for them, but they kind of like, because it's easy, and who doesn't like easy? Babies are little humans and they like things easier as well. So bottle feeding has always been kind of a thing that we worry about, but I don't want you to. I want you to see it as part of your game plan for feeding baby if it needs to happen. So I'm going to show you a bottle that I like. This is a Lantano nipple because it has no shoulders. When you see a typical bottle nipple that has a really wide base and a narrow teat, so you've got this little teat and this big wide base, and I'm not going to go into brands or anything like that, but babies tend to suck right here. They don't really get the most of that nipple in their mouth. So here you see how there's just no shoulder. I call it no shoulders on this nipple. And there's a few other brands out there like this, but you're kind of looking. And so what that baby does is then it kind of pulls that nipple in to his mouth like it does in mom's nipple. All right. So pacing a feeding involves backing off of pressure or gravity, so to speak. So it becomes less baby fed underneath you. Look at how fast that flows. You see that drip? It's just water, obviously, but it's pretty fast and nothing really has to happen. So if you've got a baby under this and this bottle like this, see, now you can see how fast that's dripping. So baby doesn't have to do much except even protect their own airway. So it's glug, glug, glug underneath this big, giant flow. But if we horizontally hold that bottle, do you see the difference? Do you see what I just did there? All I did was do that. Instead of this, I did this. And in holding that bottle horizontally and getting that flow about halfway filling the nipple, you've taken the gravity out of the feeding and let baby kind of nurse like this on a bottle without all of that flow coming from being, really fast like this. So pacing a feeding involves sitting baby butt on thigh. So you're sitting baby up on your thigh and you're holding them behind their ears, and we're keeping that bottle nice and horizontal. And you can tilt it up a little bit. And the sweet spot, the sweet spot when your baby can pause on this bottle. So suck, suck, suck. So we're getting this great, and you'll see the water kind of fall here. Babies can latch really deeply on these nipples without shoulders, kind of they can get their whole mouth on there. And so we've got this baby who's nursing on this bottle and then pauses. And that's when you know you're in a really good spot with a bottle feeding, is when the baby can pause with the bottle in their mouth and breathe and kind of be like, okay, I'm taking a break, and then start up again. And you can use that bottle to kind of work that feeding that way. And so it becomes a very interactive feeding, much more so than kind of barreling through a feeding with the bottle like this. And when the baby gets a feeding so quickly, it fills them up quickly and it hurts their tummies and it expands their intestines, because we know that the stomach really doesn't expand much more than it can, and then anything over that goes into the intestines and fills them and makes them uncomfortable. So pacing a feeding is a gentler, kinder way to feed a newborn, even an older baby, and it it makes them not look for such a fast feed at the breast. So sometimes if they get this feeding super fast, they get back to the breast and they're like, yeah, no, I don't want that thing. It's too slow. I want that thing that's easy. So the bottle becomes easier and babies prefer it. So if we can pace a feeding, it takes a little longer, yeah, but it's a kinder way to feed a baby who wants to feed like with a funnel in their mouth. Nobody does, no human does. So feeding a baby can take a little bit longer, but it also allows your baby to feel fuller appropriately rather than just feel like they're getting a feeding that's like gushed into their belly. So paced bottle feeding is this. It's holding the bottle horizontal. It's watching the flow. Do not worry about air. Air is not your enemy. Velocity of the flow is. Okay, so remember, air, they're not going to get much air. The studies show that babies push out air through their nose when they breathe, when they bottle feed and when they suckle. So there's not any risk of air because that is not flowing so fast. If this is flowing like a waterfall down the back of baby's throat, then the bottom, what does the bottom of a waterfall look like? It's all churned up and nasty. So that's more water, that's more airflow that's getting in when they're bottle fed really fast. So I know grandmas out there are probably having a fit thinking about this. They're like, oh no, feed the baby like this, don't worry about the air. Bottle companies have gotten lots of profit off of making you worry about air. Babies can handle a little air. You're gonna burp them, and trust me, they don't get as much as you think. So keeping that bottle this way, and I don't care where that level is, don't worry it has to be like this. They're gonna be slow enough that they can manage this in this method and be able to manage their own feeding in their own time, and it's just gonna be better. It's a game changer, it really is. Even if you choose to feed your baby formula, this is the way you wanna feed your baby. Take care, bye.